Heather Kampf going to be the Wanamaker mile tomorrow night at the Armory. What are some of your thoughts about being in that field?
Well, just thinking of a year ago, I was pacing this race, and it was a great field then, as it is going to be tomorrow as well. But just for whatever reason, the race didn't move with me, so it didn't turn out to be all that steady of a race, I guess. So I'm really excited to be in the race tomorrow, and I have full intention of going with that rabbit. So I'm excited just to see how that race moves with that much talent in it, and really see what happens.
That was tactical last year, wasn't it? No one wanted to go with
funny.
you, and then everyone wanted to kick at the end.
Yeah, I swear I was on.
Seems like the women this year are talking about running fast.
Yes, yeah, and people have already run fast. Like this indoor season, people are really showing up fit, so there's really no reason to expect or want a tactical race in that situation.
You've been coming off 2 really good years. I mean, your PR was 4:12 in the 1500, and then now you're down to 4:06. What's been the big, how can you explain those big breakthroughs the last 2 years?
Yeah, I'm grateful you call them big breakthroughs, because I feel like sometimes they're not recognized that way, just because it's still just not quite to that point where I'm getting into the Diamond League races, I'm getting into all the really big fields. But I honestly just feel like it's sort of slow and steady wins the race for me in my training and in my career so far. I've had incremental drops in races throughout my entire career, but probably within the last 2 years I've just started focusing on the 1500 and the mile quite a bit more. I really thought I was an 800 meter runner, but I'm just slowly chipping away to get closer to that sub 2 mark, and then started just jumping in some 1500s and dropped a lot of time. So just exponential growth I've had there made me focus on a little bit more, and probably adapt my training and mileage a little bit to make sure that I'm strong enough to hold a great pace for that full race.
You got a 4:30 mile PR, and you already ran 4:31 on a flat track.
Yeah.
So I assume you'd like to break 4:30 for the first time in the mile, but
yes.
Do you have a time goal in mind, or?
I don't know. I mean, I've run on the roads around 4:21, 4:22, so just knowing that it's physically possible for this body to traverse that distance in that time, I think that would be a great goal to try and do it on this fast bank track tomorrow. So we've done a lot of 4:20 work in practice. My coach has basically just said, like, okay, let's do this at mile pace, so 65s, and it's just kind of this assumed thing that is my pace and that's what I should be able to run, and I really like that sort of mentality that you train how you want to compete. So the pace I was going to go out in 2:09, I think, for the half tomorrow, and I'd like to be near that front and really ride along with that pace. But with that many great athletes in the same field and probably everybody having the same idea, it'll just be a matter of finding good position and staying safe out there.
Going from the pacer to someone who's in the race, what does that say about your status getting a little bit better? More recognition, reputation, everything's sort of moving up for you.
Yeah, well, I really love New York Roadrunners and the Montes and the people who have given me opportunities to come here and do these races. I think a lot of it has to do with just getting to know them better and them seeing the progress that I've made. So that's really exciting. But yeah, I think right after I stepped off the track last year and I did my job, David said, "You're in the race next year, we'll get you in." So it had been sort of a promise that he came through on this time around, so I was really excited to just kind of look forward to that for a year now.
What was it like when you ran the 4:31 at the Kansas City race, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Shannon just took off and went so fast, was that kind of surprising that she could do that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, every race is different, and I've seen her tactics be different in other races too, where she might hang back and then sometimes she goes for it. But I think she had that IAAF World Standard qualifier in mind when she started the race and really just went after it. So for me, being kind of in the pack, I think your first indoor track race of the year is always just a little bit frantic feeling. So I was just hanging out and hanging on, I guess, a little bit, and then just seeing that gap sort of form a little bit. It went from, okay, I think I can win this, to, okay, second would be awesome, and then hanging out with Morgan at the end there was still a really good race.
And what was it like to run on to race in a big race on a flat track? Did that seem different, or?
A little little bit. I ran there last year as well. I won the 800 last year in a super tight race to Phoebe Wright. So I at least was familiar with the track. Honestly, I train on a flat track, so it's not really an issue so much for that. But being in lane 1 versus training in lane 6 is a lot different in those tight turns, and you start to fatigue a little bit more on that left leg from just trying to turn really tight.
All right. Well, good luck.